Well, hello, friends. Real quick before we kick off the episode, I have to let you know about something exciting. I am seriously considering having an upgraded version of this podcast where you get bonus episodes and exclusive content. But here's the deal, I'm trying to decide what that content and those episodes should be. I do have some ideas, and I was wondering if you could vote really quick and tell me what you think about what would entice you, what would be interesting to you to get as bonus episodes on this podcast. For example, deeper dives into topics. Maybe I'm answering questions that many of you ask about starting or growing a business. Maybe even overhearing coaching calls, something like this. It would be a paid, upgraded version of this podcast, not very expensive at all, probably just a handful of dollars a month, but it be extra content for you to help you along your journey. My whole goal is to help you build your business dream, and I would love to offer you even more because some of you are asking for it. So if you could just look down in the show notes right now, there's two ways you can give me your answers. Number one, I have a Google form with 5 quick questions. It can be anonymous. You just answer them and vote on what would be interesting to you. Or number two, I have a voice memo system. You can just click it and you could just leave a voice memo with your phone right now and just record it and tell me what kind of topics, what things would be interesting to you behind the scenes, market news, what would be things that would be extra that would be really valuable to you. So thank you all so much. Okay, on to the episode. Well, hello, I'm Kimberly Brock, and for the last 20 years, I've been running my own businesses that have not only been profitable, but personally fulfilling to me. And so now I'm on a mission to help other women just like you do the exact same thing. Now we're going to have some fun, so let's get started. Well, hello, this is Kimberly. It's episode 13. 2 things real quick before we get started. The first one is, in this episode, I'm talking about how you're going to go about structuring your goals and your how-tos and your initiatives for this year for your business. And I refer to a printable that I created for you to make it super easy. And I want you to know that for any episode that you listen to, you can get my printables or anything, any links that I'm referring to by scrolling down right now in whatever player you're using. You can scroll down and there's show notes there. And I may have the link right there, or it'll link to my website, which will then bring up the information that you need. So I just wanted to set that straight, that's how you get the printable today that you're going to hear me talk about. The second thing is, I have got some great guests coming up over the next months, and they are going to be so valuable for your business journey and your personal journey. I can't wait. Some great topics. Make sure you're subscribed as well. So today, when you're scrolling down to those show notes, there is also a subscribe button in whatever player you're using to make sure that you get notified when I drop new episodes, which are usually on Thursday mornings. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that and that you get notified because you cannot afford to miss out. So I hope you enjoy this awesome episode. Well, hello, this is Kimberly. Today is the day you're going to map out your big initiatives for your business this year, and you're going to map out how you're going to go about working on those initiatives and reaching those goals. So I'm so happy you're here. I wanted to start out with a quote that, oh my gosh, just really hit me. And it's the reason why I want you to work on these goals and these initiatives. So here's the quote, and then I'm going to explain a story afterwards. Here it is. So pay attention. I don't know what you're doing right now. If you're on a walk, you're driving, you've got kids around you, whatever you're doing, stop for a moment and just let this sink in. So here's the quote. Life is so subtle sometimes that you barely notice yourself walking through the doors you once prayed would open. Now I'm going to say that again. Life is so subtle sometimes that you barely notice yourself walking through the doors you once prayed would open. I love this quote so much because about 4 months ago, I read this quote somewhere. I can't remember where I read it, and I lost it and could not find it, and I couldn't remember the words. And literally 30 seconds before pushing record on this episode, I found the quote because it hit me what it really said and what it meant. And I want you to think about something. So last year in 2019, at the very beginning in January, me and my family, so my husband and my 3 kids, we decided we were going to do our goals and our initiatives for the year, all our personal goals and business or school goals together as a family. And we were going to recap 2018 and talk about them, and then go through and make everyone write down their goals at that moment. So we did. And as you know, our last name is Brock. So we called it the Team Brock 2019 goal setting meeting and 2018 recap. So we did it, and it was awesome. And at that time in January, I was at the point where, and I've talked about this before, I was ending my online boutique, my personalized gifts boutique, not because I didn't love it, but because in my soul, I felt like there was more for me and that I wasn't really utilizing the things that I was best in that I had never done. And I'm in my late 40s also, and I thought now is the time that I need to be feeling more of me and using my true innate skills and passions. So at that time, I wrote out a goal that I'm starting a new business, but I didn't know what, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I wanted to figure it out. And I wrote out my goal and the steps that I was going to take to try to figure it out. So I had written down that I was going to start talking to everyone I know. I was going to do a lot of soul searching and personality tests and strengths tests to assess myself. And I was going to be researching online. And one of the things I found out was it said, when you're in a point of transition like that and trying to figure out a new career or a new business, is to really start at what you wanted to do as a child. And so I did that. As a child, I always wanted to be a news broadcaster. I wanted to be sharing something with people. And I liked that it was news. As I was getting older, I was always realizing that maybe that wasn't going to be the actual career for me because I knew you had to travel a lot and do all these things. And I just thought, you know what? I am good at business. I'm going to get my business degree and do that, which I'm so happy that I did. But in the meantime, I've always kind of looked at different broadcasters on TV. For example, I always thought Kathie Lee Gifford was amazing, not as much on her show with Regis and Kathy, or what did they call it? Kathie Lee and Regis and Kathie Lee. Okay, so I didn't as much want to be her on that, but I don't know if any of y'all saw recently for the past years, she was on the Today Show, like in the third hour or fourth hour, where she got to be herself. She got to talk about things she was passionate about. She got to make a difference in the world. She stood for values and was respected and fun. And I just always told my husband, that's the job that I wanted. I always wanted that job. So when I was doing my soul searching, that was what I wanted to do. And I started thinking, okay, maybe I could get into public speaking, but what am I going to talk about? I've had no major crisis in my life, no huge hurdle that I've overcome. My life has been good. So what is it that I could talk about? I had no idea. Well, I guess I had researched online, public speaking or something, because then one day, early last year, an ad pops up on my computer, on my laptop. And I remember where I was sitting in my living room, had my laptop out, and it was an ad, which I guess it actually worked this time. I didn't actually click through it, but it was my aha moment. It said, help your public speaking career by starting a podcast. I literally jumped up and screamed and said, here we go. Here's my way of having a voice, sharing something I'm going to be passionate about, but I had no earthly idea what this podcast was going to be about. I ran and told my husband, I'm like, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm so excited. He's looking at me, huh? And he's like, well, what are you doing the podcast about? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm doing this and here's my mission. And so that's what happened. And so then at the end of 2019, when I saw this quote, that life is so subtle sometimes that you barely notice yourself walking through the doors you once prayed would open, I realized at that time, when I saw the quote, I was 5 episodes into my podcast. And I had that moment where I was like, oh my gosh, over this year, I did that. I went from not knowing what I was doing to then researching and taking steps and figuring out I wanted to start a podcast, didn't know what I wanted the topic to be about. And here I am with a new business, and I've started my podcast, and I realized I never really celebrated that moment that I made it happen. I think the celebration was the moment that I decided I would make it happen. That was the celebration. That's when I got up and jumped around and said, this is it, and went and told my husband, right? It wasn't even when the podcast launched. I don't think I really ever celebrated. It was that it was so subtle because I was busy doing. I was busy going after those goals, and I was taking the steps that I had set out at the beginning of the year. So that's why I'm having this conversation with you today, because this is important. I created documents for you. They're printable, and no, they are not ink heavy. So they're not going to cost you $1 million to print on your printer, because I know how expensive ink is. They are streamlined printables that you are going to write out your goals and how you're going to go about completing them today. It's not going to take you 10 hours. It's going to take you 15 minutes or maybe 30 minutes at the max, but I want you to print them right now. So let me tell you about the documents that I've got for you, and we're going to go through them real quick. I've got several pages of goal sheets, and the first one that I want you to work on is, it's got two big areas on the page, and it says my big why and then my vision for this year. So that's what you're going to do. We're going to start off with that, the highest level view. What is your big why? Why are you doing everything that you're doing personally and business-wise? Why are you doing this? Okay? And only you know that. And I want you to fill it out and just write it down there. You can fold this up and put it in your drawer. No one has to see it. Or you can set it out for everyone to see. But I want you to be proud of your why and know why you're doing everything that you're doing. So that's the first step. Second step is to write out your vision for yourself this year. So you are going to sit there and think, what am I envisioning for my business year? I'm envisioning these initiatives, these things that I want to get done. Maybe it's starting your business. Maybe it's starting something new within your business. Maybe it's taking steps that you've been scared to take within your business, or certain aspects of it you want to take on. What's your vision, overall vision of you by the end of the year? Where do you want to be? Okay. The next page is a goal page. And at the top, it says business goal. And you're going to simply write out, what is my first business goal? Or you can say initiative. If goals scare you, I know some people don't like New Year's resolutions and things like that. But it's I call them initiatives, but you can call them goals too. And so I put goals because that's the most commonly used term. So business goal, what are you going to do? And why are you doing it? Why are you trying to achieve those goals? And then how you're going to go about it. And you've got 3 blocks here underneath. What are the 3 things that you're going to do to go about it? Then I've also got some printable action sheets, and even I included a 1-sheet daily planner and a weekly planner. They're 1 sheet. They're easy. Your family can use them. Your kids can use them. These are great just to have. So I created them myself, and all you got to do is scroll down in the show notes and there'll be a link to it. Pop in your email and I will email you this file with these sheets that you need to print right now. What I wanted to do is share with you, because I'm about being transparent here on the show and keeping it real, because I'm on a business journey as well. Now, I've started businesses before. Obviously, I'm what you call a serial entrepreneur. That's what I've learned, that new term. I was like, I didn't know I was a serial entrepreneur. Okay, so this is my 4th business. As you know, I've been doing this for 20 years. I know how to take steps and take action and figure out what I need to be doing in my business. And so for me, starting this business wasn't hard to make this decision. It was more, okay, what are all the things that I need to do that are relevant today? Because it's just like our grandparents saying that they had to walk 10 miles in the snow to get to school. Well, it's different now, right? And it's different now already for this business, right? I have a new one as well based on my experience, but today's technology, social media, all that, as we all know, has evolved so fast. So I'm adjusting as well. We are all a constant process. So in the spirit of transparency, I wanted to tell you my goals so you could see another person's goals and what they're doing about it. So here you go. Here is my first big goal for the year. My big initiative is to grow my podcast audience. Okay. And underneath, I told you there's going to be a why. Why am I doing that? Because I know that if I can grow this audience, it will turn into revenue. Okay. It will turn into revenue because I will find those right people that want to listen, that my message resonates with, and they will follow me and stay with me. And so I want to grow this audience because, frankly, it will turn into revenue, right? And that's why we're in business. It's not a hobby. I'm not a charity, even though I absolutely love helping people. But I've had a coach tell me this, like, Kimberly, this has to be where you're making money. You're not just helping people. I'm like, I know. I just want to build my foundation firm and correctly.
And I have the ability to take some time to do that. So I'm taking advantage of that and I'm building my audience. So that's my one big initiative and how I'm going to go about it. So here are the ways that I'm going to go about growing my podcast that I've set for myself. Number one, I'm going to find relevant guests. I'm going to have guests on the show that I know will resonate with you, that will help you. And I will also cross promote with them. So when I've got a guest on, like I've got one coming up in a few weeks and she's amazing and I can't wait. I don't want to spill the beans on what it is yet, but she is going to help your business. She's helping me. I'm part of her program because I love it so much and I wanted to have her on. So, but when we go to launch the podcast episode, I'm going to be promoting her and her services and she's going to be promoting me. So it's a win-win for both of us, but things like that are going to help me grow my business and make people more aware. I'm trying to create brand awareness, and you should too, because brand awareness, if you're doing it correctly, will turn into revenue, right? Okay, so my second how is I'm going to make sure that I am networking in there's different Facebook groups I'm on, online communities, ways that online I can be stepping forward and not feeling bad about when someone is telling me they're starting a business or they're having trouble with their business, that I'm able to humbly and authentically let them know that what I do can help them. So that's hard for me sometimes, not to be humble and authentic, but it's just to speak up because I never want to be super salesy. So that's something that I'm working on, is that I'm able to be confident. I am confident, but I just never want to be overbearing. It's just not my personality. But how do I authentically step in and say, oh, I can help you with that, or I would love to help you with that, or, oh, here's my podcast. You can listen. And that way it's non-threatening. It's saying, oh, you can listen here. And then I know if they like me, they'll keep following me, which eventually, right, will turn into revenue. So I want to make sure that I'm capturing reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, because reviews help those algorithms and Spotify and podcasts, that they will show my podcast little cover art to other people that are listening to similar podcasts. And so that's a way that I can bring awareness and network. And that's why I sit here on every episode, or a lot of them, is say, can you please leave me a review? And I'm not doing it to be annoying. By rating my podcast and leaving a review, it not only helps me see what I'm doing correctly, because then I see, oh, they feel that I'm knowledgeable and they feel that I'm motivating. That starts helping me with my branding and everything that I'm creating. But also it helps Apple Podcasts and Spotify show my podcast to more people. So that's how I'm trying to grow my podcast, because frankly, I'm not doing any paid advertising right now. It's not something I want to do. It's not part of my initiative this year, is to pay to get listeners at this point. Do you know why? Because I'm still honing everything I'm doing. I'm still trying to really hone in on who am I resonating with and who are the people that will keep following me, that will eventually be paid clients. Once I get that down pat, then I go into paid advertising. But I'm not doing that right now. So I'm doing all the ways of free marketing. So that's what I'm doing with networking, Facebook groups, any online communities, my social media, Instagram, Facebook, trying to just get the word out there about my podcast and what I do and the reviews. The third how I'm going to grow my podcast is that I need to network more locally. I haven't done a ton of it just because I've been so busy with the workflow of how to do this podcast. And so I'm getting that down, and I'm also getting my voice and my confidence, because we all know you gain confidence through doing, right? You may not have you don't have confidence day one you start something. You just have a vision. But you gain confidence by doing. So that's why now that I'm doing, and I've got this base, I've got this foundation, I feel like I can more confidently network locally and say, this is what I do. Here's my podcast, everything like that. So I've got to make an initiative. If you didn't listen to episode 9, Old School Principles at Work, Michelle Stinson, I know I always mention this, but right now it's my number one listen to podcast episode. And she talks about how she does grassroots marketing and just old school marketing. And so that's my initiative, is to do that. And you know what? I found out one of her initiatives now, because they didn't really do a ton of social media marketing. They grew it organically just through locally, is now they really are going to start drawing on social media, right? So that's my 3 hows for how I'm going to grow my podcast. I'll tell you 2 of my other big initiatives this year. One is to come up with my other paid offerings. So I offer consulting services and I help clients move past the ways that they're stuck in their business, whether it be when they're starting or starting new things within their business or just hurdles that they have, taking on new initiatives and taking action in their current businesses. So, but beyond that, I've been brainstorming, what else do I want to offer that could be a paid offering? Maybe it's some kind of workshop, maybe it's a group workshop, maybe it's a local workshop, maybe it's some kind of masterclass course. I love equipping people, like giving them the tools that they need and giving people everything so they can move forward themselves. I love to help people and I love to be there doing it, but I've got to think of ways to scale and what can I do? So as part of my business plan this year, figure out what are some other options for paid offerings. So that's what I'm going to be working on. And I won't go through all the details on that. But the third thing is, now don't laugh. This initiative is that I have to get on video this year. And I kind of cringe when I think about it because, as I said, I'm in my late 40s, and that is going to mean that I'm going to have to put a ton of makeup on. I'm going to have to get new foundation, concealer, and really I just need a makeup artist and a really good videographer who can put a really good filter on it. I'm kind of terrified of being on the video, but then I realize that's stupid. Everybody's on video now, and it's a way for my clients to connect with me on a more personal level versus just hearing my voice. I love doing these podcasts. This is a piece of cake for me to be back here and talking. I have no problem with this. The video is going to be a different beast. And so I've got some hows on what I'm going to do to get myself on video. I need to start one for my Facebook group so that I can have like an intro video so they can know who I am. And by the way, if you're a female and you want some community for other business owners trying to do the right things in their business and have a group they can bounce off ideas, please join my Facebook group. It's Start with Kimberly Brock is my handle. You can go there and get in there, but I need to create a welcome video for that. And I probably need to do some for social media as well, maybe even put one on my website. So I don't know what that's going to look like yet. I guess we'll see at the end of the year if I've actually made this stuff happen. But that's a big initiative for me that I know that I need to do so I can connect better. So now you've heard what my initiatives and goals are and how I'm going to go about it. And I want you to do the same thing. So again, scroll down in the show notes, print yours out. This is not going to take you all day. You're going to start it and you're going to be so happy with yourself that you did because you can keep it out. It's a compass for what you're going to be working on so you don't get sidetracked because there are a million things that you're going to be bombarded with this year. You can take this course, you can do this, you can go here, but is it fitting these initiatives, these big initiatives that you have for this year? And if you need to, you can even map out next year's as well and just kind of think, okay, if I get through this year, then what would be my next year's goal? Like for me, if I can get all my foundation set this year, then at some point here, I can start doing paid advertising for everything to broadcast my podcast and my services and all that stuff. But I'm trying to do it the right way and create a solid foundation to know that my message and that my product is resonating. And you need to do the same thing before you jump in to other phases. So that's why I'm having you do this. So thank you so much for being here. And again, the quote, life is so subtle sometimes that you barely notice yourself walking through the doors you once prayed would open. I want it to be where you're going and doing, and you don't even realize that you just accomplished what you didn't think you could. You can do it. I'm excited for you. It's going to be an awesome year. Now, again, if you listen to this podcast, make sure you subscribe because I've got some awesome guests coming up that I'm super stoked about that are going to help you. And then if you can leave me a review, it's crucial to getting the word out about this podcast. That if you can put a star rating and a written review, and I am going to be reading some of the reviews at the beginning of some of the episodes. And so you may hear a shout out from me. You guys have a great day, and I'm so glad that you're taking action on your goals. Again, just scroll down in the show notes and you can click the link to get it via email. Have a great day. Bye.
Now, this episode may be over, but our relationship does not have to end here. Head on over to KimberlyBrock.com, and yes, you can get more valuable information for your journey. And you know what? You don't need to go through this alone. I would love to help you. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Bye.